Sai Ramon, my humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, in whose presence we've concluded this lovely bhajans. Mahaprasad. We all love Mahaprasad. I wish to apologize in advance to your respective stomachs, who have no doubt sang their heart out following this such vibrant bhajans. Should I run a couple of minutes over my designated time? Apologies in advance. I have a confession to make. Mahaprasad is what brought me for the first time to this Sai Center. When I got married, or when we got married, I should say, I knew nothing about Sai Baba, but my wife, who you all know as, if I may call her that, Sister Jiti, was a devotee. But the strange thing is, I never ever inquired, never ever asked her, who is this Sai Baba? I did not even know where she would go for bhajans. She would just tell me, I'm off to some place in Park Road. And I simply shrugged my shoulders and I would say, fine. And I just carried on with what I had to do. So absolutely zero inquiry, never question, never, just didn't go. The conversation never went there. It so happened that several years later, we moved close to the center. And the first time ever I remember, she asked me that. She says, look, today I'm not cooking any food. And I thought, oops, this is the first strike ever. And she explained, she says, there's this place just around the corner here. It's on this Musa Gitau Road corner. There's a Sai Centre there. I said, oh, okay. She says, today there's a special day and there'll be Mahaprasad served after. So if you would not mind, would you mind coming to the Sai Centre for Mahaprasad? And I said, sure, I'll come. What time? And she would share the time with me. And I remember the first time I came here, bhajans were going on downstairs in the shed. It was still a shed. And I looked at my watch and I thought, hang on, she had told me this time, these people are still singing. So I killed time walking up and down the car park, didn't know what to do because I did not want to go into the bhajans. So I'm being very, very frank and open here. That's how I started. So it happened that I came a few other times, and around that time, this new development of the Sai Center, the redevelopment was being talked of, which I was not party to because I was not even a devotee. But some of the office bearers at that time, Brother Kuldeep, approached me, knowing he knew that I practice as an engineer, and he said, "Would you mind being part of our development project?" And I was very, very happy to. I said, certainly, tell me what you need done, and I shall be part of it. So it started from there. It's a small step, as Swami says, that was my first step. A long story, we completed the initial development, then the final development, and then again, this is a long story. I'll give you the short version. On completion of the Sai Center, as we see it now, the team was planning to visit Prashanti. I was not party to it because they knew I'm not a devotee and not interested. So they kept me out of the conversation. It so happened that on a Saturday afternoon, when I had nothing to do, I had a visitor who I had to drop off to Wilson Airport in about 3 hours' time. I was just driving past here on the way home, and I said, this building, would you like to see this building? I was involved in this building. It's a beautiful spiritual center. He says, yeah, sure. So we walked into the ground floor, and at that time, the offices, partitions, etc., were not in place. So you could see right through, and in one of the lower spaces here, I saw quite a lot of people seated there, and I thought, hang on, these are all the development team, the whole team that is involved with the construction, design and construction, apart from me. So I said, just hang on a second. I told this young man, I said, just give me a minute. I went in, I poked my head in, I said, excuse me, is there a meeting, a project meeting? And I'm not, I didn't know about this. I'm sorry. So no. You don't have to be sorry. This is not a project meeting. It's nothing to do with you. It is, we are planning a trip to Prashanti. I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. And immediately, Sister Jiti came to my mind. I thought, oh, if they're planning your trip to Prashanti, I can be part of this. She be over the moon. So I sat down. I said, do you mind? I said, no. This is a serious conversation. You only sit down here if you are really, really into this. I said, look, just kindly bear with me. I just want to sit in here and listen to what you guys are planning. So I sat finally at the end of it. When they asked for the names to be put down, I put my hand up. And again, I was told off in no uncertain terms. Look, this is very serious business. You don't put your name today and tomorrow you turn around and say, I can't come. I said, no, please put my name down, Sairam. I had started saying by that time, Sairam. So those are my first few Sairams, I must say. And we then ended up in Prashanti, group of 18 in Prashanti. Totally new. I was there just for the ride, more for Sister Jiti's sake than my sake, because I had planned an excursion after the Prashanti trip where I wanted to go in India. That was the motive for me. For her, it was possibly different. So anyway, we ended up there, and I started hearing conversation amongst the group that, oh, Swami will give interview. And I thought to myself, what are these guys talking about? What is interview? I did not, I was so naive, so ill informed. I had done no research, nothing, totally blank. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I couldn't even ask the question because they were all talking about it with so much confidence. I didn't even ask them what does interview mean. Anyway, so happened the following morning, we were all in scarves and our group started getting up as Swami is completing his darshan. He had not finished his darshan, and I noticed our group sort of getting up, walking down the aisles, and going to the veranda. I refused to get up. I said, even though I was not a devotee, I said, people are sitting in darshan, everybody is in reverence. How can I simply get up and start walking? This is very disrespectful. So from the altar, I'm being motioned that come. Some guys actually shouting even. I still sat. Somebody behind me, a slightly elderly guy, he asked me, he says, are you part of this group? I said, yes, I am. Why are you seated here? And I mumbled something, trying to tell him that, look, I cannot walk while Swami is finishing his darshan. I can't do it. He carried me from my shirt. He physically put me up and pushed me. I had no choice. I was on my sort of knees now. I had no choice but to walk to the altar. And I went and found a space there. There was no space there. So I took the one opening that was there, which is right in front next to the lion, facing the congregation. The moment I put my eyes up like this, I couldn't look up because there were hundreds and hundreds of eyes looking towards where Swami was finishing his darshan. Very, very uncomfortable. It so happened just at about that time, Swami was stepped onto the altar, and the distance was probably where the Jula is. That's where Swami was. And of course, everyone is looking at him. I'm also looking. I said, I suppose that's what one has to do. So I was also looking, and he took a couple of steps and he got me eye to eye. From that point, all the way to where I was seated. And then he passed by and he turned his head. And at that time, I realized I was sobbing loudly. I was sobbing. And I contained myself saying, "You're a grown man. What are you doing? Contain yourself. Look at this. All these people are looking at you. You are wetting yourself. You know, but I couldn't control it. I don't know what happened, but that's how it was. The interview itself, it was great. We had two interviews in that day. I'll share very briefly. The whole thing is rather long. On the project itself, Swami was presented the completed album for the with the photographs of the Sai Centre, and he expressed his delight, very happy, very happy, very happy. Then he asked the architect who was seated just in front of me, how many times did you change the design? He thought and he volunteered a number. He thought hard before he said the number. Swami said no. Swami gave a number one more than that. And he thought, what is he? I mean, the architect should know what he's designed. Yes, he was drawing all this thing all the time. Swami said no. So many times you changed the design. Sure enough, after the interview, when we came outside and we were discussing and we went through the major changes, they were actually exactly the number that Swami shared. The last major revision was the extension of the basement to accommodate the dining hall. Previously, that was not there to that extent. So, and then he also knew of the meetings that used to be held during the construction of the Sai Center. The meetings used to be held in a little office, temporary office, just where the Mahadwara is. And Swami said, "Both jagarte the, both jagarte the." And you know how construction sites are. It's inevitable. There are arguments because the stress is high. Uh, Deadlines have to be met. And people, indeed, yeah, you argue, but in a good spirit. But he knew that. So he, the point is that he confirmed his omnipresence to us that day. So that was a wonderful experience. And little did I know what it had in store for me. Soon after coming back, I was asked to be part of the committee, and in the capacity of youth and EHV coordinator. And I said, "Gentlemen, with all due respect, I'm past my mid age, I'm not a youth anymore. So kindly reconsider this because you want my birth certificate, I can show you, but I'm not 35-year-old. How can I be heading a youth EHV?" Say, no, we have nobody, you please do it, etc. So, anyway, cut a long story again, I accepted. And all I would share here with you is that what I learned from the youth at that time, I had not learned in a lifetime, I would say. The dedication, the openness, the simplicity with which they spoke, their reverence to Swami, all these things, it was my revision, you could say, like homework I was doing in the background away from the seniors. I got to learn so much from these youth. They actually motivated me more than anything else. Not attending burdens, not doing anything, just the interaction with the youth, the energy that they brought, etc. We did a number of initiatives at that time. So anyway, so I was the youth coordinator, and then it so happened that our term came to an end, and the new chair, etc., new committee was to be nominated. Uh, I just happened to be in my doing some work in my office that day on a Sunday. when the central coordinator, late brother Krishna Kanu was here. So suddenly I see a head popping in through the door. I think it was Brother Kamda asking me. He says, "Come, come, come." I said, "Sairam, come where?" He said, "Come to the meeting room." I said, "That is your meeting. It's not my meeting." He said, "No, no, no. You've been asked. You've been called." So I went up there. I said, "I wonder why they're calling me. It's nothing to do with me, this thing." So I went in. It so happened that there were two senior brothers who were in line to take on the chairmanship, and for their own personal circumstances were unable to take on that role at that time, Brother Kanda being one of them. And the proposal was put to me that, would you take on the chairmanship? And I said, Sairam, I've just been the youth coordinator. I still don't know about so many things. I'm not fit to be chairman. He insisted, he said, look, we don't have an option. Would you do it interim or whatever? I think words to try and convince me. And I agreed. I said, sure, I'll take on the chairmanship. So that's how I'm just why I mentioned this link is from Mahaprasad to I just gave home Mahaprasad. But what he had in plan was a much, much bigger Mahaprasad, not the stomach type that we all know. So reflections of serving in the Sai fold. We must remind ourselves, yeah, one of the key qualifications for being a devotee or being wanting to serve in the Sai organization is that of being eager aspirants for spiritual progress. That's the one and only key sort of qualification that we need, eager aspirants. And I can say with confidence, all of us seated here are eager aspirants for elevating ourselves. How we do it is our choice. So introspection is so necessary in our respective lives to, to sort of ensure that we're on the right track. And scrolling through my notes of the past, I came across something that I had shared at the 2012 AGM at the expiry of my uh, 4 years as chair. And if you allow me, I would like to share these thoughts that I had put down at that time. And the questions, these are questions that I asked myself, and possibly that we should all ask ourselves. One, am I any closer to achieving the highest human achievement, that of merging with the Lord at the end of this birth? Am I? Have I adhered to Swami's numerous teachings on self improvement, key amongst these being faith and surrender to his divine will? Have I made any progress on taming the ego? Is my personal conduct any better having had an opportunity to serve in Swami's organization? Have I made a conscious effort to listen to the Atma in terms of doing no harm in thought, word, and deed? Has my sense of humility become second nature, or am I guilty of succumbing to the animal tendencies of the mind by expressing anger, being official, and of all being official and hurting others in the process? Have my expectations of the reward for good actions or karma diminished? Or, finally, have I, through my false expectations for rewards and recognition, lost my faith and direction in the Sai fold? I had to read this a few times to remind myself of these thoughts that came at that time, and I thought it is apt that I shared them with you today. So, life is a journey that can be joyful, provided we know how to cope with the highs and lows. I will conclude by sharing, I will qualify it up front, my own weird thoughts on this matter that first came to mind in a study circle several years ago. We were talking about the highs and lows of life, and this weird thought came to me. Every time we have somebody sickly in hospital, all wired up, there's always a monitor there. The monitor goes, yeah. So we inevitably, when we walk into the room, first thing is we look at the monitor and say, yeah, still there. It's still there, high and low, high and low, high and low. Fantastic. Then, in if for some reason, unfortunate event, the person passes away, it goes into a flat line. Then the messages start coming. Rest in peace. So I thought to myself, why can't I have this peace of being dead whilst alive? And I said, the highs is where we jump. When each small victory we have in life, we jump for the skies. We forget at that time that Swami is the one who's empowered that high, but we embrace it as mine and we shoot to the stars. Now, thanks to social media, we post it and you get likes and you say, oh, my high is even higher. So you go really high. Then remember, you're going to come down a very, very slippery slope. You're going to fall down to the next low, below the deadline. Remember, the flat line is the deadline. This is the low line now. So you hit the bottom. Then you complain to all and sundry, you know what? I was born in the wrong house, wrong time, wrong place. My sibling is my parent. Thanks to all that circumstance, I am where I am in life. Do you know? This is why where I am today. This is the reason. So you in the low, still not accepting that it's a low for you to learn through, have faith, surrender to the Lord, and move on. No, we want to point and find fault and blame and not move on. So I thought how wonderful it would be to be dead whilst alive. No high. High comes. Sairam, Baba, thank you. You considered me worthy of this high. I did not know it was coming my way. I have had no idea. I have done nothing towards it. Thank you. Maintain the deadline. Then a low comes. You smile through the low and say, Swami, I know this low. You know about it. I don't know about it. I'm happy in your charna. Carry me through this low. And he will. And then the next high will come. So I just wanted to share this with you because this is something that brings me back to earth. Maintain the deadline. Remember the monitor in the hospital. You don't want to be that monitor. I know that monitor signifies life, but don't live life like that. Live life like this. Sairam, I think I have said probably, I don't know about time. As I was lucky that I sought apologies before I commenced. So to your respective stomachs, sorry. And on this momentous period, I wish you all joyful living, energy to mark Swami's 100th and many, many, many more. Sai Ram.